What's up, everybody? Peter Exodus O'Coffer here for another episode of Classic Songs. And today, gonna do one of my all-time favorites, Space Oddity by David Bowie. And I love this song since middle school when I first heard it in the late 70s. Just immediately fell in love with it. And by the way, there will be some more David Bowie coming. Definitely, I mean, you got to do a video branding show on David Bowie at some point because I mean, I talk about branding and Elvis and even going back to Little Richard and uh, the Rolling Stones and Chuck Berry and how they branded, but Bowie was one of the first to really kind of do a comprehensive thing with branding. I mean, he had a whole alter ego, in the early 70s, where he really broke out with Ziggy Stardust, and that's all about branding. And then he had several personas throughout the 70s. So, yeah, David Bowie and branding is coming. But, so this song is classified as a psychedelic psychedelic folk ballad. Very interesting song. Um, and just, not a music theorist, but, what makes this song, what it is. I remember when David Bowie passed and watching somewhere in Europe, I want to say France. I have it somewhere tabbed on YouTube. But a gentleman, with an acoustic guitar and a choir singing this song, and it was haunting and beautiful, just like the song is. So, yeah, so David has four live versions of this song that he released on various live albums, and it's interesting um, to hear each version because each version is very different, has some of the same, uh, things from the album version, but they're all really different. And uh, so, let's put our finger on why this is such a great song. So the song is about Major Tom. It was inspired by Bowie's Going to See a Space Odyssey 2001. So a couple of theories out there on what this song is about. Let me read quickly. So one says Major Tom is informed his spaceship is malfunctioned. He's in awe of the beauty of space while death approaches. So that's one version. The other theory is it's about drug use and Bowie's a drug overdose. And in Ashes to Ashes, he revisits the character Major Tom and says Major Tom is a junkie. And if you look at the lyrics from Ashes to Ashes, and this is later in the 70s, I think it's 77, 78, it's a very anti-drug song. So there's one other version out there. Oh, and then the other theory is uh, David's kind of projecting some of the alienation he has about his career, through this song. Because he's not, the career is not going well, or starting slowly for Bowie. Um, I sort of, when I read the lyrics and listen to the song, um, you know, I'm not sure if he's facing death. I definitely see the awe, and that's the one thing I'm going to focus on. That really I think that Bowie captures, and he captures in these other four official live versions of the song. I mean, I didn't go on YouTube and, do all the bootleg versions, but that would be interesting. But there is some commonality with all five of the versions that are part of the official David Bowie canon, that is, released versions. But Major Tom definitely loses communication with with ground control or the command center when he's up there, and so yeah, so that's where I'm going to focus on. Is a little variation of some of that. So the song clocks in at 5 minutes and 18 seconds. Came out in 1969, I believe. This is after, the big Apollo moon landing. So what's always struck me with this song is how long it takes to get going with that acoustic guitar, and it slowly fades in. So it's almost, the first 18 seconds, the acoustic guitar is gradually coming in. And I love, you know, I love how, why or how that's done. I had a little fade in with She Cooks for My Baby, didn't do it because of this song, but I just did it because very few songs do that. But it sets the tone for the song, and going back to the theories, different theories of what the song's about. There's a sense of awe in all the studio version and these four live versions. Even though at sometimes in the live version it it departs and you know at some points of each of the four live songs, I don't think it's as strong as the studio version. There are moments there where it just it catches that awe-inspiring aspect of the song, and uh, so that's what really, I mean, if I had to use an adjective to describe the song, it would be like awe-inspiring because there's a lot of contradictions. I think going on here, which makes the song work. And David, ultimately in the four live performances, also taps into this in each of these versions. So for me, the song, there's a fragile quality to the song, but it's also a very strong song. And then the other thing is it's big and sweeping, but it's intimate at the same time. That's not music theory. That's just and just I wonder how long it took him to record this song. It's just so meticulously laid out, and uh, those contradictions I talk about, just kind of this beautiful tension that never breaks, and you know that tension is through the whole song. Now in the live versions it's not there through the whole song, but at points that awe and that beauty comes in. And so David and all four of those finds that magic that makes this song so powerful. And you may not carry it through the whole songs in the live versions, but it's interesting. The earliest one I would assume was in the '70s. I didn't look at the year, but it's a matter of fact, it may have been the Ziggy Stardust tour, and it's done mostly um, on the acoustic guitar. And then the last version, there's two in the middle, is in the 2000s, and David has, Bowie has the orchestra playing, and the soaring guitar, so it's a lot bigger. But it also has its intimate moments too, so it's very interesting how he has all five very different versions of the song, but at points it all finds these contradictions, these beautiful contradictions that makes the song so powerful. So, none of us really know what it would be like to sit out in space and looking at the vastness of space with all the stars and looking back at Earth. We've seen the pictures, but until you've been up there, and every astronaut who's been up there says that it's just, you know, I've heard, them say it's terrifying and beautiful at the same time. And this song kind of captures, somehow or another, David Bowie really captured, what it must feel like, in music. And sometimes when, you go there, even though you haven't experienced it, but it kind of coincides with a handful of people who've done it. It's almost like it, sometimes with our, a higher power kind of channels itself through you to kind of give people who can experience it a glimpse of what it might be like. And that's kind of what you know, my final take on Space Odyssey, because it's such, or Oddity. Space Odyssey, Space Oddity. You see how David did that? Here I am, flubbing it, but, you know, he did it for a reason. And, so the song, was a quick hit. I know in England, I don't know initially what it did in the U.S., but then it dropped and fell off the radar. And then I think, what's the next one? I think, not Rebel Rebel was, obviously Ziggy Stardust, and I think Rebel Rebel's on Ziggy Stardust, but uh, then his second song, and I can't remember the name of the song right now. You know, but by Ziggy Stardust, and then this song rises again as Bowie rises with Ziggy. But just a amazing song, extremely well crafted. From the musicianship to the mixing and mastering, just a beautiful piece of work, a masterpiece. And boy, it would have been interesting sitting in the the studio watching this happen and seeing all that. And it would be fascinating. How long did this take? Because even though it seems like it would take a long time to put this together, sometimes you're surprised. Sometimes it just happens, and you're in that zone, uh, like an athlete, and just do all the right things, and boom, you got a masterpiece. But this is definitely a masterpiece. So yeah, my first shot at David Bowie, and as I said earlier, we're coming back to him. So thanks for coming through. Um, Subscribe to the channel, hit that like button. I haven't said that in a while. Some of these newer episodes, so need to reiterate that because it definitely helps, with the algorithm and helping people find, what I'm trying to do here with branding, personal branding, and music appreciation. So thanks for coming through. Hey, I got 5 albums now. They're all on the streaming services. They're all linked up here on my YouTube channel, and 2 science fiction fantasy novels on Amazon, and also a novella. So thanks for coming through, and see you next episode.